And
I
we're
see.
live. Woohoo! Hello!
I have a yellow bar. Hello!
So, welcome to our book club. I will let Justine continue.
Oh, fine. I thought since it was on your channel this month, you would host. But,
Okay, I can host then.
welcome back to Beaver Dreams.
Yes.
Oh, if you're gonna take it, I'll let you take it.
Welcome to Beaver Dreams, episode, I'm not sure, I think 17, maybe, September. We discussed two books this month, Magic Bites by Illona Andrews and Hope's Mirror by, I had it written down, Justine Ali Dowsett and, what was her?
Murandy Damodred.
Yeah, Murandy Damodred, there we are. My name is Alex, and with me are my two wonderful co-hosts, Justine.
Hi.
And Emily.
Hello.
I'd like to point out that I think this is sort of our second-year anniversary.
Yes, I believe it is.
In a way.
Yes.
Yay! Happy birthday!
Woohoo! Woohoo!
So
what
let's
is
cheers to that.
Yes. So speaking of cheers, what is everyone drinking?
I am drinking juice. It is strawberry rhubarb juice.
Okay.
Okay. I am drinking a something Bose lager out of my amazingly expensive Yoshitomo Nara glass.
That is cute.
It is.
It's really cute. It's definitely worth $40. I can't break it.
Don't break it.
I'm drinking heavily medicated hot chocolate out of my soup bowl mug.
But that's how much alcohol you need. Regularly, that's how much I would recommend is a bowl's worth.
Yes, doctor's orders.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
My current trainer's orders are just to eat more, regardless of what food it is. So I've had 3 hamburgers today.
What?
Yeah, I had 1 for lunch and 2 for supper.
Okay.
That's got to be to build muscle mass or something.
Yeah, I'm back in training, and she's like, you don't eat enough to actually build anything, so there's no point in you working out of the gym if you're not going to eat food. And I'm like, well, I eat food. She's like, no, greens doesn't count as food.
Okay. I don't know. Health regimes. It seems difficult. I just eat what I fancy.
My cousin actually is training to be a trainer.
Oh,
She's
nice.
going to college for it, and she's already doing like this powerlifting thing. So she just eats everything. She's like made of muscle right now. I don't even recognize her from like a year or 2 ago.
Oh.
That's what I'm supposed to be doing.
In her face, she looks the same. She looks like she's still like a 16-year-old girl, even though she's 20. But then the rest of her is just like, ugh.
That's what I'm supposed to be doing, but it's really, really expensive to eat that way.
It is.
It's like I can't buy or consume that much meat and other proteins, and I hate eggs. So it really limits
You know, your stomach expands too. Like you can't just go from eating like a regular human amount to eating like 5 times that amount in one go.
Yeah.
You have to slowly build your way up to it.
Yeah. So, and I've spent the last 4 or 5 months actually eating a lot less than usual, like 1 to 2 meals a day instead of 3 to 4.
What?
No.
Yeah, I know. Accidentally, or?
No, it was mostly due to a lack of food in the house and lack of time/money to actually do anything about it.
No.
So, yeah, I over budgeted when I bought, or under budgeted when I bought the house, and didn't realize how much food was a factor in that, and didn't have it in my budget initially, so it made things a little difficult.
Just gotta look after yourself. It's like eat in a healthy way, like whatever makes you feel good.
Yeah, that's what I try to do. I try not to consume much in the way of sugar and junk food. I generally don't have a lot in the house. So Magic Bites. Did anyone finish it besides me?
I did.
Right. Okay. I finished it.
Okay, so general thoughts?
My general thoughts was that I thought The world building was kind of interesting, especially at first. I kind of liked the way the world worked, with the technology coming and going and the magic coming and going, especially with everyone knowing that magic existed and there being sort of like their own CIA for magic, and the police had their own division and this and that. Yeah. That was kind of interesting for me because that's not normally something I see in urban fantasy. Usually it's secret.
Yep.
But the rest of the book, as far as plot and characters and everything else goes, was a really big, like, for me, and I just didn't find it that interesting. The whole book felt tired.
Yeah. No, I pretty much echo those sentiments. But like, what I would have found really, really useful is before kicking off, is to have read the same blurb that they did on Vaginal Fantasy. Because this isn't a Goodreads one, and you don't ever get a blurb, like the back cover on your Kindle or e-reader, right? And so this one, I'm just going to read it. This would have set me up because I found it so hard to get in or to really understand this potentially interesting magic system or even the landscape or the world. And I just felt like if it requires you to read the back of the book before, like, there's more exposition in these 2 or 3 sentences, right, than in the entire book. So Illona would be a nice place to live if it weren't for magic. One moment magic dominates, the cars stall and guns fail. The next technology takes over, and the defensive spells no longer protect your house from monsters. Here skyscrapers topple under onslaught of magic, werebears and were-hyenas prowl through the ruined streets, and masters of the dead, necromancers, driven by their thirst for knowledge and wealth, pilot blood-crazed vampires with their minds. In this world lives Kate Daniels. Kate likes her sword a little too much and has a hard time controlling her mouth. The magic in her blood makes her a target, and she spent most of her life hiding in plain sight. When Kate's guardian is murdered, she must choose to do nothing or remain safe and pursue his supernatural killer. It's like, all right, I get it now. If I'd read that before I got going, I would have been all on board. It just would have been an easier entrance to the whole thing. I found it frustrating to piece together what was going on in a actually very, very interesting magic system and what could have been a really rich world. And I don't mind doing the work. I just didn't feel like this sort of urban fantasy that I was approaching, I didn't expect to have to do it, right? And characters lackluster. So there was lots of elements of it that I really, really liked or thought had so much potential, but there's so much stuff that was just really bleh. Characters, for instance, and so I ended up in a 3-star town just because I didn't really know how to evaluate my overall feelings on the thing. But basically, I don't think I'm going to pursue it. I feel like I've seen better of this ilk.
Yeah, I only gave it 2 stars, and I don't plan on reading any more of it either.
No.
But the only sentence in that back blurb that would have maybe helped me out was the thing about the vampires being piloted by necromancers.
Yeah.
Because that was the only thing in that world that I didn't recognize. Everything else, as it came up, it's things I'd seen before in other novels or other media. But
it wasn't like it was stuff I could work out, but it was just sort of, it was stuff that was way too lightly planted, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because there was just a lot in there, and it just seemed to be all thrown at you. And she didn't explain anything, really, I think, except for the wooden cart on the ley line.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. That's a moment I've highlighted in my little notebook. I was like, that's cool.
Like, the ley line to be that you just jump in it and it takes you somewhere, because that's how I've seen it in, like, role-playing games.
Yeah.
You just pop it in and it gives you a power boost, or you can use it to instantly transport to another nexus point or whatever. But instead, she's like, no, it's going to, like, cut your legs off. So you need to be in a wooden cart. And we're like, okay.
You thinking the same RPG that I am?
Probably. Riffs?
Yes.
Yeah. That was my first introduction to ley lines, for sure.
That was my first introduction to role-playing games.
So it was mine as well.
And that and Robotech through the Palladium system as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had a similar feeling to it. I liked the world in the way it was designed. I liked the fact that that the vampires were were different from most fiction that I've read involving vampires. They weren't these, romantic, type, dark, evil romance type characters or anything like that. There were these brainless, zombie-ish type, super strong, still there, and still definitely more night creatures than day creatures and that type of thing. But they didn't have this super intelligence or this super sexiness or anything like that to them. They were these kind of disgusting, gross type creatures for the most part, being driven by something else. And I like that aspect. That was about all that I liked about the book.
Oh, no.
The rest of it was kind of
Yeah. I'll read Lady Cello's sum up that she gave me in
Oh, please.
that she gave me in her private message to me. She said this about it. As for the main pick, Magic Vice, it was a big bag of meh, in my opinion. I did write a review, though not as thorough as for Mirror's Hope. But I never got to the review. All I needed to see was it's a big bag of meh.
I can look it up actually real quick.
I imagine it's similar to ours. I did have one bit that I kind of thought was funny that I kind of liked in Magic Bites, and it was like that weird scene where she's at the dinner with Dr. Crest of all.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that guy.
And Corinne came in and was sitting there, and she ordered him that bowl of milk.
Yes, that was funny.
That I was giggling at, but that's probably the only part that I
cute,
found like particularly funny or memorable.
Well, I don't know. I thought there were some like quippy one-liners, but they felt so out of place considering that she was supposed to be feisty as hell. And I felt like every time she delivered something that like sharp or anything like where swear words came up, I was just like, I don't feel like this comes out of a character's mouth that I've been hanging out with for the past however many hours.
For me, I felt the opposite. When she wasn't back talking and being snappy, I was like, why is she backing down? She was supposed to be this tough person at the beginning.
That just tells you, like, we don't know who the hell she is, because I couldn't work it out. I couldn't decide.
Yeah.
No.
Me neither.
I have Lady Cello's actual review here from the Goodreads site, and she stated, while there were some good one-liners and some interesting aspects to the world, overall I wasn't impressed by this book. I see many people reviewed it with a promise that the series gets better, but I think I'll have to pass on further reading it myself. Other thoughts I had on this book have already been summed up well in another Goodreads review, which I have here. I wish I could have liked it more, but I just couldn't. To me, it ranked only slightly above the first book in the Anita Blake series.
How many stars did she give it?
She gave it 2 stars.
2?
2 stars, yeah.
So for me, I read the Dresden Files last month, or the first book in, and last year we read Jacqueline Carey's venture into like.
Oh, that's right. And I remember liking Jacqueline Carey's better, even though I wasn't big on that either.
Yeah, and they're sort of like, I feel like they're all kind of in the same area, right? Like we have a sort of detective or crime solver in an urban fantasy setting, and unfortunately, like I don't want to let the ladies down, but it's the Dresden Files that really nails it for me, because as much as I didn't like the character, the main protagonist in that, it matches so perfectly 2 genres. It really nails that old, noir kind of detective talk and that sort of atmosphere, and then combines it really seamlessly with an urban fantasy setting, and everything is secret there, and he is the wizard who's trying to cover things up or work things out, but that is just a clear sailor in these things for me. It has an identity, and
I was years to read the Files, and I'm actually about to start in a role-playing game based on the world really soon.
I know that. I know that role playing game. A buddy of mine actually DMs it.
Oh, someone DM'd that you're in it?
I'm not in it. I just know a friend of mine DMs. He has a Friday Saturday group that he does role playing with every week, and Dresden Files was one that they did not too long ago. Right now, he's actually play testing his own role playing game that he's building. So that's what they've been doing. But yeah, he has done the Dresden Files in the past, and he really likes it. I haven't read the Dresden Files.
So I'm starting to. I'm gonna be in a game of it soon, but I don't really know what to do with like my character, like for her background. Making her. She got her powers because she believes in Marvel Comics too much. I decided. So she developed them that way. But so to understand it better, and because I've been told for a long time to read the books, I found the television series on Hulu online. And I watched the first episode of it on Hulu earlier this week. And yeah, even the first episode, while it wasn't the best, because I heard that the series isn't as good as the books, it still was. It had a more entertaining plot. It was a more interesting plot than Magic Bites, for sure.
There's a lot of parallels as well. Like technology is an issue in that world. Like it's foiled by magic, so he doesn't touch technology. So that's why his world is totally analog.
That didn't seem to come up in the first episode, but
I thought he mentioned it right up. Oh,
Oh, you've seen it?
No, in the book it does anyway. It's like one of the first things he says.
Yeah.
So
the first thing that happens to him in the first episode is that he goes out and there's a clamp on his tire of his car, so he can't drive off. The police clamped his car down.
I like the Bobby Dollar series from Tad Williams as far as urban fantasy goes, and it's one of the few urban fantasy that I read that I really truly enjoyed, just because of the design of his. Dirty Streets of Heaven was the first book, and it's just the idea of like still having the mix of magic and technology, but from a different perspective, because it's kind of the story of angels and demons kind of appearing on Earth and living lives on Earth, like regular lives where they have regular jobs and cell phones, and they go out to the bar and have a drink and whatever else, but they kind of like his role, the main guy Bobby Dollar, his role as an angel. He's a really, really low-level angel who fights for the souls of the dead when they pass away against basically the equivalent demon, and it's like an argument of two lawyers kind of standing over a dead body going, no, he was really good, no, he was really bad, and it's kind of this argument back and forth with an arbitrator that says, no, you guys are right, now he goes to heaven, or no, you guys are right, now he goes to hell. And that's and then of course there's a murder mystery involved as well to create the story. But yeah, that's basically his general job. Is he plays arbitrator for heaven as like a low-level lawyer over souls of the dead. It's quite cute. And the humor in it is quite good.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis.
Haven't read that.
I haven't read it.
Sorry, my printer just decided to clean itself. For no reason at all.
That's
Do you have self-cleaning furniture? Because if you're living in the future, I want to go to there.
No, my printer.
Oh, printer.
Yeah.
I heard furniture. I was like,
no, my printer.
Your couch is just shampooing itself? What's going on?
No. My printer randomly, about 2 to 3 times a day, just randomly cleans itself.
Yeah, some printers do that.
Like cat hygienic. Fine.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be this really high-end, super impressive printer that I bought years ago, except that I put no-name toner cartridges in it, which broke the alignment, so it no longer can print in color. And it has duplexing, but the duplexing is now turn your pages over, put them back in the drawer, and press OK.
Right.
It just tells you the orientation in which you're supposed to put the papers in, but it's manual duplexing.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, so it's not that, and it's an all-in-one with a scanner that's really, really terrible, but because it's a network printer, it's even worse because it scans across the network really slowly and poorly in black and white. So...
What's the use in black and white? Like, you could go back to that stupid little hand scanner that my dad had instead. The ones that are, like, about this long and...
Yeah, I remember those.
...or anything, and it's attached with a wire.
Yeah, I remember those. No, it's I bought it because it was one of the few printers that can actually print on heavy stock paper, so it can actually print on cardboard.
Yeah.
And
Cardboard is especially.
Nice choice.
So I used to use it for cardstock to do calendar prints. Actually, when I had a store a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
So. So did anyone have a favorite part of the book?
Oh, I mentioned mine already. It was that bowl thing, the bowl.
Yes.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I necessarily had a favorite sort of standout moment. I mean, I guess maybe like a couple of the one-liners could be cute. I did have one that was like curious to me that the Vaginal Fantasy girls picked up on, because I don't speak, American, which is where she's getting drunk on the porch, right? And she wants to bait and have a fight with this, like, the Bono guy. The Bono thing was kind of cute, like the way that they took the piss out of the Bono title to begin with, but they were drinking Boone's or something? Boone's Farm? I'm like, I feel like that's a thing I'm supposed to get, but I have no idea what it is. So
apparently it was a real shitty beer the ladies were saying on Vaginal Fantasy in the opening. So I caught the first like 10 to 15 minutes of it yesterday before work. So,
Yeah.
Or maybe it was today before work. I don't even remember. No, it had to be yesterday.
Yeah, I watched it yesterday while I was at work.
Because today I got up and I went straight to work in the morning. Yeah, so it was yesterday.
And I guess my other like Bono related line would have been at his introduction, which is Bono, and he called himself Bono after a long forgotten singer. And I'm like, great, after you just non-consensually put your stupid, shitty album onto my iTunes account. Thank you.
Yeah, I luckily don't have iTunes.
I don't have iTunes either.
It's there, and you can delete it, but with some, you have to put effort into it.
Yeah. No, I actually saw a reference to that today on a UK show called Mock the Week.
I love Mock the Week.
You love Mock the Week?
I've heard
Yeah,
of
they do it, Brian?
Yeah, with Dara O'Brien and all that. Yeah, they had one of the things was scenes we'd like to see, and it was lines you wouldn't read in a romance novel, and it was like, and as she peered through his iPhone, she said, "That's it, we're through. This is sickening. I refuse to deal with this." And she walked out. Wait, no, they got the U2 album got forced on me. Promise, I didn't download it myself.
That's really great.
It's cute.
Christine, if you haven't watched Mock the Week, you should really take a look at it. It is absolutely hilarious. It's a UK topical comedy news show with like 6 comedic guests, basically just taking the piss out of the regular news.
The week's news, yeah.
It's hilarious.
I'll have to check that for sure.
And you can
That
get
sounds
it on
right
YouTube pretty easily.
Hmm.
But
Did you have any favorite moments, Alex?
I had 2. Well, one was the world building. The idea of the ley lines and that was quite neat. Like, it immediately reminded me of the Rifts role-playing game, and I liked the idea of having like the idea of magic that had like spread across and slowly destroyed the world through its kind of unregulated powers and surges and everything else. I thought that was quite neat. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I liked was just the general idea that she would like just all the little barbs that she made at him, like at the main cat guy, like the way she would. Yeah, the way she would like talk to him like as if he was like a little kitty cat that she had as a pet or type thing randomly, even though she knew that he was so powerful he could rip her apart. Like it was just kind of this, I don't care that I'm scared of you, or I refuse to show that I'm scared of you, so I'm just gonna make these random little jabs. And I thought they were kind of cute. They're like a little back and forth, like the saucer of milk, and the one when she first meets him, she says, "Here, kitty, kitty," or something like that, and stuff like that. Like you could see the kind of play back and forth of the fact that he respected that she just didn't cower in front of him, but yet he still kind of expected respect from her, and that. Anyways, I thought that was kind of cute. Other than that, no, those were the two things that I really thought were quite funny and enjoyable. The rest of it was just meh.
Yeah.
So, anyone have a likable character, or any character that they actually was able to really follow or feel for or anything throughout?
Um.
No. There were no characters that I liked or connected.
I kind of feel for the dead guy. Actually,
Which one?
there was her Greg. I think his name is Greg.
Oh yeah,
her guy who died. There was this one line that she sort of said offhand in the beginning, where she was just like, he just sort of forgot about gravity sometimes.
Oh yeah.
He forgot about what now? Forgot about what?
Oh, was that the guy that she broke into the apartment of or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the dead guy that she was trying to find his killer the whole book.
Yeah.
So I felt for the corpse who was not even in the novel.
For the most part.
I can get that. He's probably the most likable person. I think. I don't know. I have more to say on the world building. I mostly have things to slam about characters, or not even slam. Just be like, why don't I know about this character? Why don't I care about them?
Slam either. I just think that in general they were all uninteresting.
Yeah.
They were. I felt that they were all very flat.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, just like. Yeah, with the exception of, the dead guy who seemed like he could have an interesting story, and the other one that seemed like he could be almost interesting if they bothered to put a bit of effort into him was the guy who kept showing up through the vampires to bug her. The one necro guy. I can't remember his name.
I didn't know how to say that, so I didn't even give him a name because I couldn't pronounce it in my head. So I was like, Bubba.
Yeah. But the first time that she said Gastek was when she threw her knife into the vampire's throat on the ceiling, right? And so I thought Gastek was the name of her knife for the first time.
I was confused who he was.
I thought she was talking to her knife and that her knife wanted blood. She talked about it like it was a person for a while, so I thought that it was like that was the knife's name. And I had that similar kind of confusion when we were reading Wizard's Chance. There was that scene that I guess it was a sex scene or was turning into a sex scene at one point where they said that he pet her kitty.
Oh yeah.
It was her cat because she had that magical cat thing.
Yes.
But it wasn't.
And that made it even worse.
Yeah.
And the fact that even throughout that sex scene, there were still mentions to food. That was my big issue with that whole book, was that there was never, the author never was unable to complete a whole chapter without mentioning food.
I mean, just have a food sex book. I mean, food porn, fine. Who doesn't love that? But, different thing. See, I thought that was going to be a book sex book, like a sexy library knowledge adventure, and that's why that disappointed me. That's why that fell down for me.
Because she could have almost been like a sexy belle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you said you had some things to say about the world building?
Well, yeah, there was just so much stuff, like you picked them as your favorite moments, right? And I was like, yes, there probably are moments because they were never finished or elaborated on or whatever. But I thought there was like really interesting world building, like this idea that a magic flash happened and might not ever happen again, or it might recede, or but it turns on and off.
Yeah.
And that took a really long time for me to establish mentally.
Oh, I felt that it was like a day-night cycle almost. To me, it felt like magic was on at night and on in the day.
I got the impression I was kind of random.
Yeah, I thought it was random.
But I read into it. That it was like during the day when people go to the office, it works, and because they expect it to work at their jobs. And then when they go home, because that was part of it too, it was sort of like if they expected technology to work, they said so about the phones.
Yeah, I remember that discussion.
And then
when
they expect it to work because they don't know how it works, or because they do know how it works, then it's technology and then it doesn't work. And so, because of that weird belief system,
I don't know.
Assumption that like stuff like your computers or whatever would work in your office during the daytime, and then at nighttime technology wouldn't work. I don't know.
I thought it was neat.
I did to it.
Yeah, I thought the discussion of how the mix of the tech and the magic, the fact that she had two different cars, one that worked, all the time, and one that only worked when tech was working and wouldn't work during magic times or whatever, was kind of neat, and that type of idea.
Yeah, I thought it was way more precarious than that. Maybe it just wasn't fine reading as much, but I like that whole idea.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested.
I think you're right. I think it was supposed to be more precarious, but I just was catching a pattern that either wasn't there or maybe unintentionally was there.
No, maybe it was. I'm quite bad sometimes at picking up the patterns, and I'm sorry if I'm talking over you a bit, Christine, because I can't hear when you're talking. Yeah, I catch a bit of you talking. No. But I can in dribs, and then... Okay, so I can tell you talking a second ago, but sometimes I can't quite. Sorry.
That's okay. I'm cutting you off too, and I shouldn't be.
No, I totally heard you that time, so that's good.
I've been doing it as well, and I apologize.
Yeah, there's a couple of other things that I thought were really cool about the universe that are just underexplored massively. One, I like the idea of blood magic and, word-based magic, but they don't really play that out thoroughly, and that's connected to who this Kate might be. And I'm like, I really want to know who Kate might be, but I don't want to have to read all the other books to find out. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, sure, I can speculate, and I don't have any neat ideas because I'm not au fait enough with the universe, but I'm like, it just feels way too much like one of those emotional hooks, and I'm just like, I don't want to buy in on this occasion.
I felt like that too, like especially about, the part where she cut her wrist or whatever to use the blood to go through the barrier after who she thought was the boss, that woman.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And Koran was there fighting, and then he jumps through the fire too or whatever and ended up being really hurt, and he's like, how couldn't you be hurt? Before that happened, because he was there, before he saved her, I thought he was going to figure it out and know what she was and call her on it. And that we were going to find out because he was going to put it together.
Oh, I think...
And I was disappointed.
I think the author made it pretty clear where her relation came in.
Yeah. She's old. She is old of old.
I think she's either the daughter or the wife or something to that guy that they kept referencing or whatever.
Which guy?
So the woman that was controlling all of the woman that was controlling all the vampires, right?
Oh no, I agree to that. I thought you meant about Kate. I thought you meant about Kate and Kate's bloodline.
I mean about Kate, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
You do, but you think Kate is somebody's wife?
I'm thinking ex-wife or daughter to that guy. that super mage or whatever that or super necro or whatever it was that the vampire controller was trying to seduce or whatever it was.
Well, she's got to be older than old, right? Like in terms of their mythology.
Kate? You don't mean... No. I think Kate's how old she is. But I think
she's got embodiment of that, right?
But I think she's probably got like the old bloodline.
Yeah,
you know?
That's what I mean.
But I think Alex is saying that she's like actually the wife of someone, but that's
or daughter. That's what I'm saying, daughter.
Who doesn't
or
know
wife.
it? Oh.
That daughter, I could see. I could see her being the daughter of that person, maybe. But she doesn't know, or she doesn't.
No, she knows. She knows. She just hides it. Because when she went through that barrier, she straight out told the woman, "You don't know who you're messing with." Like, she knew that she could do that.
But she didn't want to take the words on because she knew they meant too much, and
But then
she cleans up.
Why didn't she, in her thoughts, tell us the readers who she is?
Because she wants to hold it off to the next book and the book after that.
Because you've got to buy 5 more. You know.
No, I won't.
I won't either.
I will not.
I won't.
It's purely so that the next book and the book after that can be written.
I know, but they've got to make you want to care, and I don't care.
I know, neither do I, because I already figured it out. I think there'll be enough to care, or to not care, basically.
I feel like there was another thing that I liked about the world, but I can't remember it now. So there we are. Sexy time.
I did a little bit of casting.
Oh,
I did.
Sorry, just before we start that, was there any sexy times? I don't remember there being anything.
I don't think there was, no.
There was non-stop threats of rape towards people, which I'm getting really annoyed about in urban fantasy and culture generally. I'm like, can I just stop reading about, like, women who are constantly in peril of that particular assault? Like, it's not okay. Getting really
does
tired.
Get written about a lot. It seems to be this big thing that ends up in a lot of books. Like it's like now that we've made the culture aware that this is not okay, and that it's dealt with now in the media and everything else, and it's not the woman's fault. It's not okay. It shouldn't be happening. We need to crack down on it. It's now become this big literary thing instead, because it's okay to talk about, it's okay to write about, so now everyone does.
And so now it's like the main hot plot point almost.
Yeah. And it's the only thing you can threaten a strong woman with now, apparently. And I'm just like, come on, we are not breeders. Like, and yeah, it feels like Law and Order. You know what I mean? Like, you watch one of those SVU editions, and it's just every week how to violate a female in a more hideous way. And
never watched it.
Yeah, I can't even watch the commercials for SVU. Like, the commercials get me upset. I'm just, seriously, you're covering that? Like, this is just like another horrible person that I don't want to watch about, thanks.
No, exactly. And I mean, I don't know, sometimes you feel like it can be artistically justified as a subject to approach, but when you're just throwing it in as a threat, I'm really disinterested.
I liked the way it was dealt with. Like, I didn't like the scene, but I liked the way it was dealt with in Daughter of the Forest.
Oh yeah.
Because
but that's
in that
picking
case,
up on
it
a
was
subject, right?
It was horrifying, but it was 100% totally justified considering the situation. She was a young girl on her own with no protection, living in the woods, and was stumbled upon by, what was it, 2 guys or 3, like, adult males who were, obviously troublemakers to begin with, ruffians living on their own, or, living out in that type of environment. And considering the age and considering the time period, it was, it was totally a reasonable situation to have happened, and unfortunately, if you look at history, it was very likely something that would have happened.
Oh, sure.
It was still a horrifying scene, but at least from a literary sense, it made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was pretty okay with how it was. I was pretty okay with how it was dealt with on A Time to Kill.
I don't remember that one.
Oh, I haven't read the book, but I've seen the movie.
Yeah, I've seen the movie too.
I haven't seen the movie or read the book. Time to Kill.
So I think she was about a 12-year-old girl, maybe younger, maybe as young as 9, and she was just walking home from her friend's house or something one night when when this little black girl got gang raped by a bunch of skinheads. I think they were. And
It was fun.
It didn't too graphic, but seeing the movie when I was 13 or 14, it was graphic enough for me then that it was disturbing and kind of horrifying then. But in the end, like, most of the movie is the trial dealing with the whole thing until finally Samuel L. Jackson thinks he's losing. He's the father, and goes in with a gun and shoots the guy who raped his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
In the courtroom.
It's about his case, basically.
Yeah.
I kind of remember that. Yeah, I do kind of remember that. I did see that movie. It's been so long that I don't really remember the details very much. But yeah, no, I do think I remember seeing that movie.
Yeah.
I've seen so many movies that they tend to blend together a lot.
So for me, it's like Daughters of the Forest and the Robin McKinley book that we read alongside that, and other books that actually deal with the issue of rape. Like, that's a whole other ballgame.
Are you talking the Robin McKinley book? You're not talking. You're not talking about the wolf, are you?
No, it was the.
I finally got a text from them.
Oh, the dog.
I'm getting a ton of pings right now. So.
They just got home, and they said, send the invite to Justine. So, I will...
Well, I think we're basically almost finished up. You said you had some casting, so we can do that real quick. And then
it was super, super quick. Okay, so Kate apparently had blonde hair, but before they told us even what her name was. Like, for a good chunk of the beginning of Magic Bites, I didn't know what her name was, and I didn't know what she looked like, because it wasn't mentioned. So right off the bat, I just started imagining her for no reason at all as Kyla.
Okay. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, so she
I
was
feel like Kyla would be okay with that.
For a while. Yeah, because she liked the book. And I was really surprised and devastated when I saw that Veronica liked the book. Like, usually Veronica and I are on the same page, and occasionally more so I am with Bonnie than with Veronica, but usually it's Veronica. And I was really surprised and kind of appalled that she liked the book so much.
I'm usually with Veronica, but there's been a couple of choices where she's had things that she said she liked or didn't like about books that I was just the opposite or just didn't notice or didn't see. So I'm rarely with Felicia on any of the books, I have to say.
I think Felicia just goes too easy on all the books now.
Yeah.
Since it moved from her personal channel to Geek and Sundry.
Well, now it's on its own, right?
It will be in
November.
Or was this month the first month? I don't know.
No, November's the first month. So the October will be the last time it's on the Geek and Sundry channel, and after that it'll be on their own.
Okay. This is what I want. Okay, so I need to try to get you. Where is Google Talk on this thing? I have to send you her email.
Well, you said you can invite from yours, right?
Oh, that's true.
So you can just invite directly from yours.
That's right. I don't. Are we ready for that now, or do you want to talk a little bit about Mirror's Hope without them before?
Well, let's go over general thoughts real quick.
Yeah.
And then we can bring them in for further stuff on that.
I don't have any, so do you mind if I take a pee break?
Go for it.
Go ahead.
Okay.
But if you want to say something about them when you come back, about the little bit you did read. like that's okay too.
Yeah, it's really, I feel like I just did not read enough to get a great feeling of it. But, which I feel terrible about, but I feel like I can ask better questions about publishing generally, which might be more useful to people.
Okay.
And I hear what they have to say anyway, so.
Okay.
All right, I'll be back in a couple, guys.
Okay. What about yourself, Justine? What did you think?
Okay, first of all, I think I had a very different reading experience from you and Lady Cello, just because I'm sort of familiar with the world, not fully, right? And I'm sort of familiar with the characters involved, but again, not fully, because mostly I had heard stories about some of these characters from Justine and Murandy when I was living with them and beforehand, because this, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that this book is based on a role-playing game that Murandy ran after Justine had run a previous game. So she had this world based on Wheel of Time.
Right.
So if you've read Wheel of Time at all, have you?
I read the introduction, and that's as far as I got.
I got a little farther, but, like, yeah, I got bored with it really fast. But Justine had this fantastically rich and detailed, like, fan version of the world that she came up with for her role-playing games, which I really find fascinating and I really loved. So there was this world, and then Murandy had this idea to do, like, the exact opposite of it. And so the mirror world was her idea. So, kind of like if anyone who was good became evil and all of that, like you found out in the novel. So, I know the original characters' stories, some of them, but I don't know it in detail because I wasn't in that game myself.
Okay.
So I sort of have a sense for the characters, enough to know who I think is good and bad in the world that we're dealing with in this novel. So for me, I felt like I was reading like a really long inside joke in a way, because I was giggling at a lot of things because I sort of know what's going to happen without actually knowing the plot, just because I know the characters and how I think they're going to react to things.
Right.
So for me, I've enjoyed it very much. Found like a little bit of weird editing here and there, Rob, if you're watching. But, you know, nothing huge. There was nothing hugely wrong in that department either. I think it was a pretty decent job.
I found a few that bugged me.
Well, perceptively versus perceptibly bugged me, and that came up twice. And it made me doubt whether or not I knew what perceptibly meant, so I looked it up in the dictionary, and I was like, no, I am right.
There was that. There was, at one point, there was supposed to be that, but it was what? So it really threw me off when I was reading that.
I caught that today.
A couple of times where there was actually missing words, which made the sentence not flow very well.
Oh, I haven't caught any missing words, but I've caught extra words.
Like small words, like there's missing a to or missing a the or something. So you can read it without the word and it's okay, but you're kind of throwing it in mentally as you read it because otherwise it doesn't really make sense.
I must have thrown it in mentally automatically without noticing.
Yeah, because there's a couple of times that caught me where I was like, whoa, and I'd reread it and like, yeah, I thought that word was missing. And
I think they were far between.
Yeah, no, it wasn't much. I generally try not to count the number of grammatical and spelling mistakes that are made in a book because it bugs me when I catch them. So if I actually have a running count, it's really going to bug me. But if I were to start doing that and we were just to start having the Beaver Dreams, you know, random bad and missing words / misspelt words / grammar count, it would be kind of an interesting thing to add at the end. But I think there was probably like half dozen max that I really noticed that bugged me.
Yeah.
The whole chapter out of order thing bugged me, but that was my e-reader. It had nothing to do with the document itself.
Right.
The other thing that bugged me, and it's more specific to, like, I mean, if we get into characters or whatever else, it'd be better explained there. But hope bugged me.
Okay.
Mostly because.
I think that's interesting that he bugged you. For me, before you go on, I just want to say that Liana bugged me. And she didn't bug me at first, but she started to bug me when she went to start taking the sword training lessons from Dwan. Because at that point, when she was good at that too, that was when she started to become a Mary Sue to me.
Yeah.
And then she was a Mary Sue who couldn't even defend herself when DePaul was assaulting her.
Yeah.
A few scenes later. So I started to get very, very angry with Liana.
I got angry with Hope, with Liana, and with Mira for 3 different reasons. But Hope bugged me the most because, considering his position as the Panarch's favored general and ear to the Panarch and blah 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 and everything else, he was a useless wimp. He really didn't have. I mean, he had the great healing power from a creator, but of his own magic, he really didn't actually have much in the way of skill or capability. Mira tended to do most of the saving of herself. Even when he was there, he tended to basically take a backseat and go, "Oh, I don't know what to do now. Now what am I supposed to do?" And you're like, if you've been practically the right-hand man to the most powerful person in the country, you should be a little bit more qualified than this. You're kind of an idiot.
But that's funny because the mirror version of him, Tendro, was like, the thing is, I know about Tendro.
And Tendro was not too bad. Tendro was quite capable.
I've heard
was an idiot.
Stories about Tendro, and because of that, I was able to laugh at everything that Hope did, because I know how much of an asshole Tendro is and how shifty and just like what kind of a character.
Anyway, Hope was useless. Mira was Mira, the first half of the book, Mira played this very typical, almost horror movie blonde bimbo girl to some degree. Like, I don't know what to do about this guy, I really like him, and constantly getting herself caught up into these situations that she had no idea what to do with, and really wishy-washy, and that bugged me. But I understood the character. She was a rather innocent person. She had never really experienced anything in her life. So it was kind of it bugged me just a little bit, but not too much, because it kind of fell in with her character to some degree. But when she became a full-on split personality with Liana, with absolutely no pre-hints to that in regards to the split personality thing, that's when I started going, whoa, like, I mean, unless there's an actual personality embedded into this mask that she's wearing, there's no way that would happen. So, did we lose Christine?
Maybe.
Messed up.
Oh, there we are.
But you guys,
there you are. You're moving now.
You know they're still gonna hear whatever you're saying right now, right?
That's okay.
If they're watching, probably.
And Liana just bugged me because she was, as you say, she had this kind of, yeah, she was.
Yeah.
Bit of a Mary Sue.
But overall, how did you enjoy the book? Because we were trying to do general thoughts.
Yes. Overall, I did like the book. Hope was the only thing that really drove me nuts about the whole book. The entire thing was great, except for the few times when Hope just seemed to be like, he didn't really fill the role of being that high up general that he supposedly was.
Did that happen especially at the end? Because I didn't get to the very, very end. I got very close to after she slit her wrists.
No, actually, I think that's when he started stepping up. That was the first time he really started stepping up, was after that.
Okay. Yeah, right around there was where I had to stop reading so I could get on here. So.
Yeah. So no, it was mostly before that with just his. I don't know. I just felt like he just didn't take any form of real active role for the most part. He seemed to kind of sit back and let everybody else make decisions and do those types of things, which, being, effectively a second in command, he would be a much more dominant.
I don't think he was a second in command. Like, I think when he was working for the Panarch, I think he was more like a 5th or 6th or 8th in command. But
yeah, but the fact is he was still still had the direct ear of the Panarch, which generally would require him to have a little bit more personality than what he was showing.
Yeah. Should I start inviting them?
Yeah, that would be great.
And in the meantime, while I'm doing that, do you want to read a little bit of what Amanda had to say?
There's a lot here, but I can start. Warning, spoilers below. For the most part, the story flowed well, and I found myself immersed in it for most of the novel. Occasionally, there were some parts where some more editing would have been helpful. In the beginning, some characters were described twice within a few paragraphs, and there were some minor grammatical errors. Later on in the book, I sometimes felt like the transition between chapters or scenes within a chapter were not as smooth as they could be. The ending felt like it was put together quickly with the intent to just get all the information out there. For world building at first, I was a little uncertain about it with the magical college theme since it had been done many times before. I was, however, relieved when it became apparent that this was not going to be central to the plot except as the setting, and that instead the plot focused on the emotional, political, and religious struggles of the worshippers in a condemned deity, the creator. I get that in the simplest terms, a creator is supposed to be good and the destroyer is supposed to be bad, but I found myself occasionally wavering in my support for the creator's side. I questioned how good the temple worshippers really were, especially considering how they treated Murandy, their prophet. I guess they are the zealots of the novel. Also, as much of an overall tyrant as he was, the pro-destroyer Panarch did show some very small glimpses of humanity brought out principally by Illona. As for the characters, I enjoyed the development of Murandy Illona. At first, I had to keep reminding myself of how young she was, as I found her to get boy crazy and out of control of her emotions at inappropriate times.
How was she? Because I don't remember at all having, even just reading it in the last 4 or 5 days. I don't remember.
I thought 16, but I'm not sure on that.
Maybe it was 19, because 16 sounds too young.
19 might be right.
And I was starting to imagine her in her early 20s at some point.
Yeah,
By the time she went to Hope's made-up Void place, I started to think of her as at least 23.
I put her in her early 20s as well. When I was reading it, I didn't really have a set age, but that was definitely around where I had. To continue, I'm not a fan of teenage drama, so it took a lot for me to overlook this. I was also disturbed by how much of a beating she took throughout this book. First, as Murandy, she is brutally beaten and violated twice in front of her first love. Then her first love cheats on her and breaks her heart. Then as Illona, she gets horribly raped in front of her second love. Finally, when she gets her heart broken yet again, and the plans for rebellion look like they will fall through, she tries to kill herself. The poor girl can't catch a break. I was intrigued by her development over the course of the novel and was happy to see she eventually fell somewhere between her old self and her Illona personality. I hope she maintains her humanity and newfound strong will in the next book. Despite him being the avatar of light and thus supposedly one of the good guys, I was not a fan of Hope, and considering he was supposed to be the one to bring salvation for worshippers of the Creator, he really did not get as big of a push as I expected. I found myself pissed off at him for most of the book, particularly with how he underestimated and underappreciated Murandy. I kept picturing him patting her head and saying, "There, there, don't worry your pretty little head," and I would internally fume. He didn't intervene when she was beaten by the Panarch, and he certainly did nothing to bring her into the temple with him. I know in the end he finally acknowledged his error in judgment, but too little too late. As awful as this sounds, I felt it appropriate that, in the end, Miranda ended up with neither Hope nor the Panarch. I felt that she truly was better off without either of them. Other characters. Elizabeth is an annoying brat, but I know deep down she loves her sister dearly, so I was able to tolerate her. The Mirror World inhabitants are all the same to me, though I'm interested in whether they have pro-destroyer rebels within their ranks. It would make sense if the world is truly a mirror of Morena's. I'm still confused by which Carolyn is actually alive and what side she is on, if any. I hope Stumped-Armed Dipole dies in the most horrible death ever. Overall, I did enjoy this book, and I do intend to read the next installment, Mirror's Heart. I hope that it clears up some of the questions I have.
Is that Lady Cello?
Yeah, that was Lady Cello.
Wow.
I have answers for some of her questions towards the bottom, but those would be spoilers. Like, I know about, I don't know which Caroline it is for real, but I'm pretty sure it's the Caroline from the other world. So I think it's Tendro's baby, not Hope's baby, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm getting spoiled, and this sounds way more fun than what I read.
Yeah. And I know about who is and who isn't working for the Destroyer on the light side.
Well,
So that's why I got the other one, because I think I know who's good in the light one. Who's working for the light side secretly that Mira doesn't even know yet, but I'm pretty sure he is. If I'm remembering things correctly, because I don't even know if I am. I'm going to try to send this invite again.
Did you invite to the right one? Because I just got an invite a couple minutes ago to your test.
Yeah, I did as well. Like you.
I invited directly from this chat that we're in now.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I only ever from you get invites to 10.
Do you want to try it then, Alex? The email is
Like view. Give it to Alex.
Oh,
No,
is
don't
he
say it.
joining?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Go back. There we go.
You're muted.
We can't hear you.
There you go. Hello.
Oh, there you are.
Demute. Hi.
It's our first time on Google Hangouts, so we're not quite sure what we're doing, but
That's okay.
Fine.
We all have technical issues all the time with this thing. It
Yeah,
doesn't even
pretty
work
much.
on my computer anymore.
My camera randomly refocuses, and I become a blurry mess, and we have random muted microphones and all kinds of fun stuff. So it's all great.
okay, well, thank you for having us, guys.
Oh, not a problem.
Thank you very much for coming on. I'll reintroduce everyone since you're just joining us now. First of all, a huge welcome to our wonderful special guests, the authors of Mirror's Hope, Murandy Damodred and Justine Dowsett. And also I'm joined by my co-hosts Emily and Alex today. And
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, Emily and Alex.
Nice to meet you.
So my first question for you ladies is, have you been watching the last few minutes at all?
No, we just got in. We actually drove back from Toronto today, so just got back into Windsor. Yeah, briefly.
You didn't say hello.
Actually, Robert had a death in the family, so it wasn't. It was an emergency visit.
Oh no, I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, moving on. We all have a lot of questions for you, I think.
Fair enough.
Save one of us. So the first question I'd like to ask you ladies is, well, it's sort of two questions that are really similar. I know this isn't the first time that you've written a novel based on a game you've played or a game you've run and created. So how is that for you? And also, I don't think this was the first time you co-authored either. Am I correct?
That's right.
So how is that for you, and how is it easier the second or third or fourth time around?
Well, pretty much every book I've worked on or written started as either a game or a game concept. The first book we ever wrote together was Neo Central, which is on our website. And we wrote it on a forum, kind of as a role-playing game, but we decided right from the beginning it was going to be a book. So a lot of the books that we've written, we've done together. And we basically throw it up on Google Drive or something like that. I'll write all the descriptions and all the extra characters and anyone else in the story, and then she does the main character. So any thoughts, dialogue, action, that's pretty much up to her. And we just bounce it back and forth until we have something to edit and work with.
Was that how this one was done in particular?
This one, yes. This one, I'm sure you noticed as you were reading it, kind of reads like a conversation or like two people arguing with each other, and that's because we really were just sitting there arguing with each other.
That way, knowing that Tendro was your character, so I figured you would have been him. And
yeah.
Although at first I thought Morena was a cross between Caroline and Murandy, and I was confused on that because her last name was Kalane. So yeah. And I couldn't remember Caroline's name. I just remembered it started with a C. Mm-hmm. So I was like, is she an amalgam?
I think you were almost at a disadvantage knowing some things about the original story or game that we had come up with, so you kind of made assumptions, which maybe might have hurt you. Gotten a bit
so far,
confused.
I think actually all of my assumptions have been right, except for that confusion as to whether or not Morena was or wasn't Caroline.
Oh, well, that's good.
So,
yeah,
that was my biggest confusion.
Murandy basically played Morena and her Mira, and then I was everybody else and the setting.
So can I ask the terribly uninformed question then? Do you guys work in games? Have you written for games? Or
I actually worked for 3 years as producer for First Stage Studios making video games, but the games we're mostly referring to is role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons or Big Eyes, Small Mouth, something like that. We've been in role-playing since first year university.
Yeah. So, do you feel like the storytelling abilities from role-playing or LARP, live-action role-playing would have informed your creation of the story?
In general, I find that being a dungeon master or a game master is very similar to writing. You're a storyteller. It's just in that format you're doing it on the spot, whereas when you're a writer, you get a chance to rework things as you go and afterwards. But it's a very, very similar process.
Cool. Well, you answered my third question, too, in the other answers. So I am done with my questions except for kind of a really hard question that I don't know if I can ask. That I might ask you ladies personally later when we're not live.
How long did it take you to write the book from not obviously from initial concept, because as you said that was from a role-playing game, but from the time where you decided to actually put it down on paper for the purpose of writing as a book to the time that you had it edited and finished?
Well, we loved the story when we originally played the game, and we always wanted to sit down and write. This is the mirror world of it, so we actually played the game set in the mirror world that they go to visit. So this is a completely original piece. But when we sat down to write it one day, we just said, okay, we're doing this, and 3 months later we had a book. So that was a whirlwind.
Wow.
It was really quick, yeah. We wrote every day.
I think that's like way quicker than you did the first Crimson Winter too, right?
Oh yeah. The whole series of Crimson Winter took me a year.
Yeah. Interesting. And the production, is it self-published or is it through a publisher?
We actually opened our own publishing company in January.
Okay.
So prior to that, we were going to self-publish, but we decided I've already published a number of books myself, self-publishing. So I decided to kind of take my knowledge and expertise and expand it. So we did a lot of research into the industry, opened up our own publishing company. Now we've started publishing for other people as well. So Mirror's Hope was our first release with the company.
Okay.
So what are you looking for in your publishing area? Like what do you hope to specialize in, and what do you hope to promote?
we actually really like the concept of escapism. So any books that help you visit another world or take you somewhere other than here, essentially, and maybe show you something about this world. So mainly science fiction, fantasy, adventure, just something that lets you live outside of the here and now.
Pretty much the company logo is this world's only the beginning. So any world outside of our own is kind of what we're looking for.
Interesting.
Yeah, who wants to be here? I've been on Twitter all this week, and it's terrible.
I've got some weird questions for you from Lady Cello. Actually, this one I like a lot. This one's from Lady Cello, who wanted to join us tonight, but then got called into work. She said, was Miranda's personality transformation to Liana primarily a product of the mask, or did she in fact become a tougher person independent of the mask?
That gets fully revealed in book 2.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, there's a complicated explanation, and I'm almost afraid to answer the question because I know kind of what comes after this book. As of this book, she's still confused whether it is another soul in that mask, whether it was the mask itself, whether it's a part of her that's, becoming something else. But she basically needed the strength of the mask to become the stronger person that she is. So that was kind of a symbol there, but it does get answered. Mirror's Heart should be out in a few months.
Yeah. Do you have a date for that yet?
We're hoping December 17th.
Okay.
Oh. Okay.
It's right now just being read. The second draft is finished. The test readers are going over it one more time just to make sure we didn't miss anything.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. This is another one from Lady Cello, and I think I know the answer to this one. I think it's going to be similar to your last answer. What happened to the Mirror World versions of Miranda and Elizabeth? They were never mentioned again. Maybe in the next book?
The next book does not feature them so much. It does have Miranda in it a bit. We're intending to write essentially the Mirror World side. We're going to do 2 more books, hopefully.
Of their story.
So back to for me, the original world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The mirror.
Yeah.
The evil side.
Yeah. The good side.
Yeah, whichever. The other side.
The creator side where the destroyer is trapped versus the destroyer side where the creator is trapped.
Right.
Yeah.
So the other side is going to follow the story of Tendro and Morena, specifically, those two.
And then you'll see them cross back and forth, so you'll see where they match.
So the next one isn't a continuation of where we are at now, instead it's going to be...
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, okay. There was so much crossing back and forth already in this one, I was hoping it was just going to be a continuation, personally.
It is. It is going to be a continuation, and then the third book will be the other side, a little bit of backtracking, but we're not going to go all the way back to the beginning because we think you've kind of got most of that.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. She's also confused as to which Caroline still lives.
Mm-hmm. That gets revealed in the second book again.
I'm pretty sure I know which one it is. Knowing the world in the background, I think I'm right.
Yeah.
But what's her question specifically? She says, how could they not know that Caroline was killed, possibly theirs?
They were wearing very similar outfits, and they were switched possibly by magic at that moment. So the only person who would have known it was the one who was watching closely, which was Tendro, who was your narrator. So the clues are there, but we confirm. We confirm what's going on.
Specifically, Hope neglected to inform them of this piece of information.
Yes, he did.
Yes.
Went to the mirror world.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that sounds like something he would do.
Yeah.
And her last question is, how is it possible for Liana, Morena, and Caroline to be tricked into the double wedding? Now, I don't know about a double wedding because I haven't gotten there yet. I'm like 8% away from the end. Oh. So I got to like some point after her getting her wrist. So I had that question before I even got to anything else. But they get tricked into a double wedding, and she says, how is it possible?
Well, Terrence Lee was essentially seeing both of them at the same time. Caroline still thought their wedding was going through, and Morena thought their wedding was going through. So one ends up already on the stage, and comes out from the side, and the other one goes up the aisle. So
they basically both crash each other's wedding, and he gets married to both.
Pretty much.
But how did he get into it?
He chooses one.
He chooses one on the wedding day.
Oh, okay.
At the altar.
Yeah. He's kind of a jerk.
They're just both so wrapped up in it that okay. Oh man, Alex, do you have any more questions?
I just have that one observation about that one character that I'd made earlier, which is that I just
Go ahead.
I was just curious if I found Hope was a bit of a weak, not a weak character. The character was well defined, but I found that his role within the story was weak considering his position within the world. I mean, to have been that close to the Panarch, not sure how it would be properly pronounced, but anyways, I found that he should have been just a stronger person in general throughout the book, and he didn't really show that. He seemed to just be a very weak, kind of letting everyone else lead along the way. He didn't really step in when he should have, and he never really showed much in the way of having any power outside of what was gifted to him by the creator.
Yes.
In the
that
story.
Was actually, not to interrupt you, sorry. That was actually done mostly on purpose. Tendro is a weak-willed character. Essentially, he's given all of the powers that he's given because of the world that he's in. His mirror, and when you learn more about Tendro on the other side, you'll definitely see the opposites. Okay. He's not a weak-willed character. He's very ambitious, and he uses any bit of power he's given. So we kind of wanted to show some contrast there, and it's a little early to be able to see it. But yeah, he is weak-willed, and that's why Morena had to do what she had to do, and that's why she had to sacrifice so much. We tried not to focus as much on Hope. He ended up being a bigger part of the story than we really intended. Essentially, we tried not to focus on him too much. But.
Okay.
And every time when you think of a mirror and like a difference, like they switch, they don't technically switch all on the same axis. So some people, one's good, one's evil, and that's a switch, and some people have low confidence, and one has high confidence, so they switch at different axes. It's not exactly good, evil.
Okay.
But you'll see when you read the other side.
Right. Okay. Excellent. I just found I was reading through going, but he's a wimp. Why is he a wimp? He shouldn't be such a wimp.
He is a wimp. He's always had everything handed to him on a silver platter, and he's never had to fight for anything in his life. And Caroline controlled him. I think you can kind of see that.
Yeah.
He's trying to overcome that, and he does do some growth, but he's just not there yet.
Okay.
As you're writing it, I said the same thing every 5 minutes.
That actually surprises me that he wasn't supposed to be a main character for you. Just knowing what Morena in the game and her relationship with Tendro was like,
yeah.
And just having that knowledge, I thought that it was going to be a romance novel between her and Hope. Especially because this Hope actually seems so earnest and so good in comparison.
Yep.
So,
well, you'll have to read the second book to see how their little storyline turns out.
Her falling in love with Terrence actually surprised me, even though it was with the mask. Mm-hmm. It surprised me, and then what surprised me more was that she was able to force down like her hatred of him and her loathing.
Well, you still got 8% left to go there, Christine. So
I know, or maybe
we try to keep you guessing the whole way.
Well, you've done a pretty good job of that, so
thank you.
I get like 12 text messages a day.
Yeah, from me. Yeah. Did you read those, Justine?
Not yet, but I will.
Some of them are pretty funny. Yeah.
You have this big thing. You're like, oh, what's this? And then like 2 minutes later, you're like, never mind.
Because I'd react to something like the second it happened because it was so funny, and then I had my answer like maybe 3 sentences later. But yeah, it's because I had all the spoilers. Sort of.
On the other side.
Yeah.
Murandy, can I ask you what's a really hard question, and if you don't want to answer, don't answer it?
Sure.
I want to hear this.
Okay. So, at when I got to the third assault in the book that happened to Miranda, and had a message from Lady Tello saying that she felt really uncomfortable with the rape scene, I started counting the assaults, and I'm writing them down. And I feel like, including Miranda's attempted suicide at the end, she was assaulted 7 times. Because I'm splitting basically the rape scene into 2 rapes. The first one, when it first happened, and then the second part when Terrence had to watch.
Yeah.
So I'm just, and like having played games with you, your characters tend to get in those types of situations a lot. Is there a reason for that?
I don't like to follow the rules. I like to sass talk, and I get punished for it.
That's really awful that you feel that way.
But that's awful. That's like the obvious first punishment. You know?
That's the first what?
That's the first punishment that comes to your mind, or like the thing that happens is like assault a lot, you know?
It's just it's like a contrast to show you how awful the world is and how awful those people are. That's why it's so
We were
graphic.
trying to paint a world where the social norm was to be cruel, and essentially that's what makes it a dystopia.
Yeah,
Is that the
came
characters
across
are.
in the beginning in the garden the first time Terrence found her.
Yeah.
And like that already was kind of disturbing enough. And then when DePaul found her when she was escaping the cave,
Yeah.
that's already disturbing enough for me. And I was like, ugh, that already. Like I think that one was the one that was the most disturbing, because then after that I was just expecting it.
Yeah. Well, that's like we were trying to market it as a dark fantasy romance.
Yeah.
Because it's using sexist power, and there's a lot of control issues, and it's about Miranda trying to change the social norm in her world and fight back against it. And she does go through a lot of violence and assault, as you said. So
I don't get as much in the second round.
no, that's true. She's a much stronger woman in the second book, which is good.
I don't get assaulted as much in that one.
That's good to hear. And I kind of liked that. Like I felt that she was a cross between the stories I've heard of Miranda from the first game and how I felt you played Faye. Like I felt like she was a good like combination of the two.
She's supposed to level out eventually.
Yeah, like I felt like she was a more level character even in the beginning. Now, is what I mean.
Yeah, we wanted to make both her and Miranda a little bit. Oh my god.
Yeah, I saw that.
My cat's gone mad.
Yeah, what is going on with your cat?
He climbs the walls, literally. Yep.
Yes, both Mira and Miranda in the game that Christine remembers were very extreme people, so we wanted to bring them a little bit back to normal because they are the protagonists, and to have them be going kind of off the rails as far as personality, we didn't really want to do that. So
there was some glitches in the second book. Well, a couple glitches.
When we wrote the first draft of the second book, our test readers decided they didn't think that Mira's character was justified in a lot of her decisions because she kind of went a little bit out there. So we had to rewrite. We had to write sections of it to fix it.
Like the real way that she was originally, how she was not justified, because she was like never justified.
Yeah, it was a little extreme. So we rewrote sections of it, gave her a little bit more justification, and we really hope that everyone's going to enjoy the second book and think that it gives a good conclusion to this line of the story.
Cool. Well, I know I'm looking forward to it. So.
Yeah, so am I.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
We will have to let you know when it's out.
In her review, mentioned that she wanted to read the next one as well. So.
Well, it's coming as fast as I can get it out there. We do have the cover art. If you guys actually want to see it, no one's seen it yet. So
go for it. Preview.
Kind of a cool reveal.
Sneaky.
This is going to be live on YouTube. So.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Not
we
that
are going to be doing
private.
a cover reveal pretty shortly, so.
Just let me find it.
Yeah. Take a
And
second.
if you want to, you can link this later.
In the downloads.
I can send you the link to this video. Or are you doing this on your phone?
I have to find it on my phone.
Well, she can't find it. We may not be able to show it, but.
Just keep
Jeez.
talking. I'll find it.
Oh,
Nah.
sorry.
Why gotta be like that? I'm pulling it through my email.
Oh, man. Alex, do you have any other questions that have come up from discussion, or?
No, I think I'm good with my questions.
Yeah, Andrea didn't end up sending me any, so I imagine she was too sick to think.
Okay, you guys ready?
Possible.
Oh.
Can you see that?
Oh, it's
That's
very
cool.
pretty. It's very pretty. Mm.
So that's the artwork for it, and obviously we're gonna make the cover around that.
That's what Miranda looks like.
That's Morena.
Ah.
Very nice.
No, who was
She
who
had
was it
hair
on the
down
front
her
cover
Sorry, I should say that's
of
Mira.
the first book?
The
Ah.
cover of the first book is Leanna.
Ah.
That makes sense. That makes
Okay.
sense now.
Lower it.
I
Lower it. There you go.
That's not freckles then?
That's Leanna.
Okay.
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 Mira's cuter.
Well, that's the idea, right? She's got to be able to stand on her own without the mask and still realize that she's beautiful and powerful in her own right. So.
That's gonna be good.
That was the first time I seen Christy's face.
What about my face?
Your camera finally
kicked in.
Wow.
Yeah, we've been seeing a black screen for most of it.
That's really strange. Because I can see myself in the little corner for me.
Oh, I saw you the whole time.
I didn't. I just kept seeing.
Oh,
a black
weird. So maybe on YouTube it'll work.
I
And
don't know.
if rewatching it, it'll be there. Hopefully it won't just be a black screen, because that's kind of like, why is the camera even on? Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, no, that already happens. I did all of those. Oh, you know what, though? Can I just say this one thing that really bugged me about Liana?
Sure.
Okay, so first I liked her as a different strong character when she first did the mask, but I think she became a bit of a Mary Sue only when she was also good at sword fighting. When she showed up to Duan's place.
She trained for that specifically in the
Which
time
was
skip.
mentioned a few paragraphs later, but then it made her like she was good at everything until her getting assaulted by DePaul in the fountain, and then she couldn't even fight back. And
Yeah.
then I'm like, so you're so great at everything, and you can't even.
I don't think that she's so great at everything. I think she's overconfident. I think that's kind of her flaw.
Mm,
Yeah. She's got an ego. She thinks she can do everything.
yeah.
She very much can't. She's not as strong-willed as she actually gives herself credit for, so.
You'll see that in the second book too.
That makes more sense.
Because if she was a Mary Sue, she wouldn't try to commit suicide, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right.
Not in the way that she did, anyway. Yeah.
No, it would probably be more of a public spectacle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Emily, you're making a lot of faces.
Huh? Oh, I'm typing to you guys in the back channel, and I'm not wearing my glasses, so I'm like.
Oh. I can't see messages that are being typed, so I don't know what's going on.
So I should probably just say to you, like, I have to go to bed soon because I have to get up at
I
like
know you need to sleep at
5:30. So.
Oh God. Thank you for staying on this long, and have a good night.
I'm sorry I haven't been so engaged this evening, but I have to get ready for bed. So.
Very nice meeting you.
You too. Thanks for showing up, you guys. And I'm sorry, I'll be back next month. So let me know what you decide for book readings next month, and
Okay.
I'll see you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Are you two still reading a lot of books while you're writing, or does that get in the way of writing?
I don't have time.
I've been reading submissions.
Yeah, that's about it.
That counts.
That's not the same. That's not really reading for pleasure. That's reading for work.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of submissions?
A handful of them. It it really depends. Sometimes when I go to advertise that we are accepting them, I get like a bunch more. But usually it's, 1 or 2 a week.
Okay.
So it's not terrible, which is good. We can still keep up with it.
That's good.
Looking at me.
You're the one who's supposed to handle the submissions.
And how long is the process from a submission that is worthy of publishing to the point of actually having it completed and published?
That is really going to depend on how much work needs to be done with it, and that really varies. We've discovered some stuff has really promising story, other stuff, the technical aspects maybe are not there. It really depends. The submission we're looking at right now, it'd be a ton of work to get it to where it would need to be. From the actual, once you have a finished manuscript to the actual publication, 3 or 4 months could do it, but you got to also factor in your marketing and setting that up. That takes the most amount of effort and time.
Okay.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. So when you're looking for submissions, you're hoping for not first drafts. You're hoping for the completed manuscript.
Yeah.
But are you getting everything in between then?
We're getting a lot more first drafts than anything else, unfortunately. And a lot of the stuff, people don't tend to read the website. They need to know what kind of things we're looking for. They'll just send us anything. We've gotten memoirs and all sorts of stuff.
Oh, I see. I see. So they just know that you're a publishing company, so they're just sending it to you.
Yeah, some people have just sent to a lot of places, and then they just keep sending it out because they're hoping someone will pick it up. But it's really best to kind of tailor what we're looking for, and send us stuff that we want to see. We'll work with whatever problems it has, but it's got to be in our genre.
Right. Or genres, as it might be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you guys located?
We're in Windsor, Ontario.
Oh, yeah. I know the area. I lived there for a year, so.
Oh, yeah? Nice.
Yeah, down on Peter Street.
Yep,
Yeah,
Peter Street.
I think everyone lived at Peter Street.
Yeah. I practically lived on Peter Street for a while, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're excited. We're the first fiction publishing company to open here.
Okay,
So
that's cool.
there is one other publishing company. It's like mostly nonfiction and local kind of stuff. So.
Okay.
Oh. I thought one of my professors at the university had a publishing company down there.
Yeah, Marty.
And it was
Marty Gervais.
Yeah, Marty Gervais.
And it's Biblioasis. That's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I thought that he mostly did poetry.
Yeah, poetry and local stories and photo books and stuff like that. They're doing well, actually, so.
Oh, that's good.
It's promising.
So have you had a chance to speak to him about the publishing stuff? Like, was he a resource for you?
I've actually never met him, but we're involved with the Windsor Essex Book Expo, and over 66 local authors go to it. This will be the 3rd year coming up in November. And we've networked with a ton of different authors because of that, and we're really big with helping them kind of get set up and doing their advertising and stuff. So
nice.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's I'm really looking forward to that event this year. It should be big.
It sounds like there's a really good community down there.
It is. You know what? Windsor's really good for entrepreneurs. It's really good for creative people and authors. A lot of local stores will actually carry our books, even if they're not bookstores. Like it's been really good.
Yeah, like I think I remember one of your books was at the cafe I was working at for a while down there until the cafe closed, right? You had it at Evolve Cafe?
Yeah, and we were at a bubble tea place. Right now we're at Mashup Cafe and Crafters Plus, which is like a local artisan shop. And there's another like a gift shop on Ottawa Street called From the Heart. We're in there as well.
And then we're at
Chapters, Indigo, Barnes & Noble,
You've broken into Chapters now.
Finally,
Fantastic.
yes.
Awesome. High five.
Yeah. Indigo's going to carry them for Christmas, and then we'll be doing a signing probably in the new year. So.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That was really hard to do.
It was a big fight,
sweet.
but we got it.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Is it nationally Chapters?
It's all over. It's worldwide. You can actually order our books Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Amazon.ca, pretty much everywhere. And we just have to now convince local stores to carry them individually. So.
Right. But I mean, like on the physical bookshelves of Chapters, is that nationally now?
No, it's London, like local area, London, Windsor, Sarnia,
Those are the physical ones,
Okay,
but you
but
can go
that's
in.
still huge.
But you could
You're at
go
a
in.
major.
Yeah, you can go into any chapters in the world, go to their system, and order it to the store.
That's true.
They
That's
just don't carry
awesome.
them on the shelf, so.
Yeah. Sweet.
hmm
Well, on that happy note, I think we should call it a night. Unless if
Okay.
you would like to close with anything.
I guess just keep an eye out for Mirror's Heart and the cover reveal, and you can always find more information on our website, which is mirrorworldpublishing.com.
Excellent.
Thank you again for joining us.
Thanks, guys, very much for
Thanks.
reading the book and for having us.
Have a good night.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
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 Hang on.
Alex, this is where you hit the stop button. Hello? Oh, we're still